Don't Starve is certainly among the least intuitive of games. To make matters a bit worse, temperature is poorly measured by the player without mods. A close eye on visual animations is needed, and by the time you notice, it may be too late. If you can see your breath, or if you are shivering while standing still, it is a good sign your character is getting cold. Of course, when running, shiver animations will not play. The fact is, Don't Starve characters are cold-blooded. Cold-blooded killers, as they ravage innocent creatures of the constant, of course. But also, they do not regulate their body temperature, and it instead matches their environment. More scientific terminology that better describes this would be poikilotherms or ectotherms. Don't Starve characters also have no ability to supercool, immediately taking damage when their body temperature approaches freezing. What we assume to be freezing anyway. Truth be told, the tolerable temperature range in Don't Starve doesn't make much sense. 0 for the low and 70 for the high. These values clearly don't match the Celsius or Fahrenheit scale, as 70 Celsius is good for simmering food, while 70 Fahrenheit is quite comfortable, and 90% of viewers likely have their thermostats set close to this value. 0 Celsius seems reasonable, but 0 Fahrenheit would be well below the freezing point of water, and values just above this are more than cold enough to cause frostbite damage to exposed skin in the real world. In the hot summer heat of Don't Starve, trees also catch fire. Wood usually doesn't burn until close to 300 Celsius, a temperature that would quickly melt flesh. Imagine ordering some chicken from a company and receiving it from a FedEx delivery driver. That chicken can no longer produce its own heat. It must be wrapped in plastic and placed in a container. This will keep it insulated. On the other hand, consider cooking that chicken and then transporting it to a barbecue. That chicken may be warm now, but given time it will become cold. Out in the open, the chicken will quickly cool. If placed in a Ziploc bag and wrapped in a towel, it will take a bit longer. If placed in a container, it will take even longer. Like a lizard sunning on a hot rock, the player must bask in the warmth of a fire in winter. If the lizard spends too long in shade on a modest fall or spring day, it will become colder and lethargic. If a player spends too long anywhere in the world away from a heat source, he or she will become cold and take damage, assuming it's cold outside. A deer, a wolf, a Canadian goose, a beaver, a seal, they all produce their own body heat. They are all homeotherms and endotherms, and they are capable of overwintering with no external heat source. This cannot be said for Don't Starve characters. There is another method of staying warm completely unavailable to most Don't Starve characters: metabolic activity, and not just in passive form, but also in active. Everybody knows exercise can make you hot, but many forget that if you wish to stay warm in cold environments, a small amount of exercise and plenty of insulating clothing will keep you toasty. Many cold-blooded creatures experience warm spells from exercise. These creatures are known as heterotherms. A fantastic example is the honeybee, which warms up during flight and vibrates over winter to stay warm. Heat is the greatest energy waste product of physical activity. No matter how much you work out, or run, or chop, or mine in Don't Starve, none of these activities will raise your body temperature. Luckily, this also means being active in summer is not going to make you more likely to overheat, as is a common problem with physical labor in summer months in the real world. Luckily, unlike most ectotherms, which are cold-blooded animals, you won't suffer degrading performance loss as temperature decreases. Whereas a lizard may get cold in the shade of a 50 Fahrenheit day, and then move slower and become lethargic, the effect of temperature on players is extremely binary. You either receive damage from the cold, or you don't. Also, unlike reptilians, you have an ability to insulate your body. Though a reptile has no access to fires to make insulation useful, you do. The trick to surviving the extreme temperatures of the constant in Don't Starve starts with understanding that you are not a warm-blooded creature, and you have no internal methods of temperature regulation. Wearing a koalefant vest and a winter hat and going for a run will not keep you warm. Plentiful water consumption and sweating will not keep you cool. It is only after you achieve warmth via a fire and insulate yourself will you remain warm for a long period. Most players will opt to build a campfire, but granted the ability to control a tree fire, it will warm you up much faster. Setting a torch to an evergreen or birch nut will save you a great deal of time and resources warming you up compared to building and feeding a campfire. If you plan to do a lot of winter traveling, planting some trees along paths you frequent will give you quick warmth. There is an exception. Several foods, such as spicy chili, will raise your body temperature. Spicy foods will actually raise your body temperature in the real world, though mildly, as well as in-game. If you have enough spicy chili and wear enough clothing, you can extend your warmth out without getting near any sort of fire. Spicy chili only warms you 15 degrees, so unless you have really good insulation, using spicy chili will only warm you for a short period of time. Feel free to subscribe and check out my upcoming Don't Starve video where we test the validity of a spicy chili overwintering strategy. If munching on some food can save you from building campfires every few minutes, winter exploration may become more accessible than you imagined.